Look at mortality from all of these infectious diseases, with the exception of polio. They've all diminished in their mortality by over 90% before the introduction of the childhood vaccine schedule in 1948 with the diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis shot.
I've never heard them acknowledge that most of the mortality declined for almost all the infectious diseases for which they're vaccinated. Declined, as you just pointed out, not only well over 90% for many of them before the introduction of the first vaccine. And then from 1900, just from 1900 to 1963, as you know, you had an over 98% decline in mortality from measles. By early 1960s, when measles infected everybody in America, you had about 400 deaths a year.
Right.
That means 1 in 450,000 Americans a year died of measles at a time when it was endemic. And obviously, if you follow that curve, there's no doubt the mortality would continue to decline even without vaccination.
I read some literature on if there's one single thing you can put your finger on that was the greatest factor in reducing morbidity and mortality from infectious diseases, it's actually nourishment and nutrition. I mean, we live in this era in which everybody is sort of struggling not to get so many calories. But for most of human history, particularly for the rural and urban poor, they weren't ever getting enough to eat. And an undernourished and a malnourished body is very, very susceptible to infectious diseases. I think that if the whole vaccinology religion were to be honest about this, if you're not living in filth and squalor, if you're well nourished, if you have a properly heated and properly ventilated sleeping quarter, you're not going to be vulnerable to all of this stuff.
I mean, if you open Plotkin's Vaccines, the medical textbook, right, in the very first chapter, it says, other than clean water, nothing has saved more lives than vaccines. Or you listen to Offit, he says there's nothing that's been more safety tested than vaccines. I mean, they live in this delusional world